motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, next on the list, consider request to use Lakefront Park for our 6th annual Raise the Wolf Animal Friends Dog Walk event on Saturday, June 16th, 2011, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. We have people here that would like to speak on that from the animal shelter. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Diana Newbarth. I'm president of St. Clair Animal Friends. This is Danny Langer. She's chairing the event. We're here to answer any questions that you have.
Can you just tell us a little bit about the event?
Yeah, it's being held on June 16th from 9 to 2 p.m. at Lakefront Park in Hudson. We're anticipating about 50 participants. We're not going to need barricades, right?
Mm-mm.
We're not going to need security. We do have insurance information if you'd like to see it. We have currently been promoting the event via our website, social media, and word of mouth. We have already printed flyers, excuse me, in all of the forms and have an article ready to go into the newsletter. We've talked with local businesses, supporters, sponsors about the walk, and if they would like to participate. At this time, we do have a few interested parties, and we also have a local band secured to perform. We have a volunteer sign-up form that the fire department and Target said they would post in their lunchroom, right?
Target's going to post the event on their store and have a sign-up sheet for any of the workers there that want to volunteer to help with the event. Also on the site, we will have 2 animal behaviorists, and we are also going to be having Dr. David Datt, who's a local veterinarian in Hudson.
Great.
Who do the proceeds go to? What's the?
St. Croix Animal Friends.
Okay.
The proceeds are going towards building the animal shelter in St. Croix County.
Okay, great.
Lee, do you have any questions?
Nope.
I believe this is the second event you guys have had in Hudson.
Yes. I have pictures from last year, if you would like to just take a look at a couple of them.
Sure.
The event went really well. Their main concern was animal waste, which we did clean up. They were very pleased with the fact that it was, you know, just as we had arrived. We have quite a few people that are going to be volunteering to make sure that they pick up the dog poop. And dog owners are really responsible. They walk with their dog bags and they pick up after their own dog. But then we have a team of people that go behind them just to make sure that there isn't anything left. The Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts will also be participating so they can earn a badge. They will be helping with cleanup. We will have people all along the route, directing the route to make sure that everything goes accordingly.
Wonderful.
Sounds great.
Do we want
There hasn't been any issues with it.
Okay, do we want to entertain a motion?
I'll move to approve the event.
Second.
Raise the Wolf.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, question, Lee?
No, I thought the reason that it was on the agenda was to discuss the cost for the park.
Well, no, it was on the agenda because I needed to go through safety, but I think
Okay.
it's clear here that they have a cost, so I just assumed that. I lost my agenda. Number 4, consider request to conduct a Walk MS 2012, beginning and ending at Hudson Middle School. We have people here for the MS Walk as well, I believe. Hi.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Dietzler.
Go ahead and talk in the mic.
I'll put that or something.
Beautiful.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Dietzler, and I'm the volunteer coordinator for Walk MS in Hudson. This is my second year coordinating the event. Just a little side note, this is MS Awareness Week on multiple sclerosis. I want to first just thank you for your time. This year's event is planned for Sunday, May 6th. This will be our 4th year in Hudson. It will be starting and ending at the Hudson Middle School. Last year we had approximately 600 walkers. That includes children. And we raised approximately $86,000 for multiple sclerosis. This is a very family-friendly event. There are 2 walk routes, either 1 mile or 3.5. The route walk is planned out the same as last year. Again, it will start and end at the Hudson Middle School. We are in no need of police. We use volunteers at each of the crosswalks, and I'm open to any questions.
Lee, John?
How many people attend this event? Sounds like quite a,
600.
600, okay, wow, that's great.
Yeah, it keeps growing. That's very good.
Yeah, they've run a really good event. We haven't had any issues with this at all. They stay on the crosswalks of the walk the entire time.
And we do, either I missed it, or we do have police volunteering, or you're having citizens volunteer?
Citizen volunteers,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
It's spread out enough between everybody taking off that it's not one big group going across the street at any one time, so.
And the
Correct.
cones are coming from Public Works, or?
Yes, I need to contact them for that, but last year Public Works did let us borrow safety vests and orange cones for just one part of the walk.
Okay, and then you'll probably pick, there was a policy change last year where there's payment for stuff like that, but if you go pick it up, there's no charge for,
Okay,
so it might be a better option for you, since there's just cones.
yes.
Move for approval.
A second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 5, consider request to conduct the Monica Jensen Foundation race on Saturday, June 2nd, 2012 at 8 a.m., beginning at the Hudson High School and ending at Lakefront Park. You're up.
Hi, I'm Tricia Bretta.
Hi.
This is our 6th year, as most of you know. We have 2 routes, a 5K and a 10K. How it works is we have volunteers at all the intersections except for the major intersections, which are, I believe, Vine in Wisconsin, Vine in 9th, and St. Croix in 2nd. And last year we did have a little issue with some of the walkers taking up the whole road, so this year we're definitely going to ensure that those guys are on the side and out of the road. So, and the money actually goes to, we've kind of switched a little bit this year, it also goes to the Wisconsin Cancer Center, so it'll be part of Hudson hospitals and the surrounding hospitals, as well as Rochester Mayo.
Excellent.
And do you guys have any questions?
I think you're becoming a pro at this, so it's kind of. Do we have any concerns, Marty, on your end?
No, the only concern, and we addressed it last year, is that when the walkers took off, a lot of them were going right down the middle of the road. We had to get them off to the side, let them understand that we didn't want them to get run over. But
Right.
that was it was addressed last year, and I know they're gonna take care of it this year, so.
And, okay, Lee, did you have a question?
Move for approval.
A second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you guys very
Thank
much
you.
for your time, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Gents.
Number 6, consider request to conduct a Les Berg Memorial 5K Run Walk on Wednesday, May 9th, 2012 at 6 p.m. It's going to begin and end now at Lakefront Park, right?
Yes.
If I recall. Okay, so we have a new map that was left on the table for us, so to go through. Deb, go ahead.
Okay, I'm Debbie Johnson, and this is Marge Wopat. We are representing Operation Help and The Source, and we would like to do a 5K, and it will be a Les Berg Memorial. Les Berg was instrumental, well, he was Operation Help, so that's what we're doing. We're also trying to raise funds for Operation Help and The Source at the same time. And it would be beginning and ending in Lakefront Park. And I think you have the latest map? Is it?
Yes, we do.
Can you read it?
Yeah,
Yep.
Oh, how do you like my artwork?
it works.
So I guess this is our first year doing it, so,
Okay.
It's on a Wednesday,
yes.
because we thought there'd be less conflict with park use.
Okay.
And we have a number of volunteers from our organizations that, are very excited to get involved in this, and
Right, and we anticipate maybe 100 people participating.
Deb's husband Warren has run quite a few
Yeah.
runs before, so
Right,
he's
he's
the
our,
brain behind us.
So are we gonna, like, is it gonna be coned off, or how are they, do you need to
Right,
do it?
yes.
Okay.
And my husband has done the Pete Sake 5K that.
Oh, yeah, for
And
Pete's
also
sake,
he's,
yeah.
but yeah, and he's done the St. Pat's one, he's done others
Okay.
in the Twin Cities. And as Jim can probably attest to, we have a few cones and stuff in our garage, and so we won't be
Okay.
needing to, borrow anything from, we have all the cones, and we have a clock, a time clock.
Okay.
And Deb, you'll have volunteers in the park to show the route?
Yes,
Okay.
we definitely will have volunteers. So,
Any other questions?
None for me. Move to approve.
Second? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, consider request from Body Zone to conduct 4 foot races in the St. Croix Business Park. Do we have anyone here? No, we don't have anyone here from Body Zone.
Anybody here
Marty?
from Body Zone?
Marty? No.
No?
No.
Joe Belfonte called me here beginning of the week, wanted to have these races as part of his Body Zone business up there. They'd be running Sundays on the dates shown, April 15th, May 6th, June 3rd, and June 24th. All of them would be up in the industrial park itself. If you can see, he wasn't able to come up with, I don't think there's a map attached to it, but he did come up with a route. At first, he wanted to go across Tower Road, down Old 35, and then come down on O'Neill, and I said that probably was not going to pass muster just because of the safety aspect of it, but he did come up with a better route within the industrial park itself. Sunday at noon, I don't anticipate there being a lot of traffic up in the industrial park, so
No.
I don't anticipate any issues with this. And he's maybe 25 at the most at some of these races, possibly. He says just something for the people that go to his business to have something to try to do, so.
Okay.
Okay, but the route he has written down here is not the route he's thinking about.
What does he have in there?
O'Neill Road south to Enlow, Street east to Rock, Street north to Heiser, east to Cul-de-sac.
By the GM plant.
By the GM plant, Heiser north to Hanley, west to O'Neill Road, north to Body Zone finish line. Yeah, that's all in the industrial.
Is that the one he wanted? Or
No,
is
no,
that-
he wanted originally to take O'Neill to Tower to Old 35.
So you're okay with this route?
This route's much better than the last one he had.
It's all in the industrial park.
Right.
He doesn't have to cross Hanley.
No,
All right, just want to make sure that what we're approving
No.
is this route.
right. As soon as he said he wanted to cross Hanley, I said that was not gonna fly. So,
Right. It's just not that easy to
No.
cross Hanley.
Exactly, 4 lanes.
Okay, so we have a confirmed route here. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve Body Zone
Second.
foot races, yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Number 8, consider a request to conduct the 3rd annual Willow River Super Fun Walk and Run on Saturday, April 28th, 2012 at 9:30 a.m., beginning and ending at Willow River Elementary School.
And it was super fun.
All right.
Hi, I'm Roger, a parent from the Willow River School representing this event, and it's our 3rd annual. We've don't really foresee any problems. The last couple ones have gone well, a little cold and windy, but they all worked. The only area that is in question is crossing 2nd Street, and we have secured a police officer to help people back and forth there. But the rest of it is on sidewalks or paths, except for the section between 2nd until you get down to 1st. That little strip, there's no sidewalk on that side. So we have our own cones from the school that will block off that section of road, that 1 block strip, so everyone stays to the left. And that's pretty much it. So
Yeah, we
it's
haven't
the
had any issues with it.
same route.
Yeah.
We don't, it's free, and there's no, there's no,
It's just fun.
it's just super fun.
Super fun.
It's, I might add that part of it is a parent is supposed to be with their child, so obviously some kids filter off, but for the majority of it, there's parent and child with it, so it's,
Sure.
that's
Who,
it.
who did you get for police officer, if I can ask?
Officer Schultz can't do it that day. He's our police liaison
Liaison.
officer, but
Great.
he's gonna secure somebody for
He's
us
gonna
for that
take care.
day.
Very good. All right.
Okay. Motion?
Move to approve.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving
All right.
on. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Consider request to install a stop sign at the intersection of A Street and Myrtle Street. Marty, this request came into you?
Yeah, that actually came through Public Works. They had gotten contacted from a lady who sent an email in regards to the intersection of 8th and Myrtle Street. Rachel Navarro had stated that she'd seen a lot of near accidents at that intersection and had requested a stop sign be put in at that location. As you can see, that the email that she's sent to Melanie requesting us to at least look at a stop sign or a yield sign at that location. I'm trying to see if we've got the accident data for that intersection. Anyway, I think we've had one accident at that intersection, and that was back in 2010, so it's busy, but like I said, we've only had one accident intersection.
No,
If-
it's interesting.
Go ahead. Well, my recommendation was gonna be not to put a stop sign in, but to look at putting a yield sign in instead, trying that at first, because I know we've got yield signs in that older part of town at certain intersections. So that would keep it in more.
If 8th is a through street there, and if you go to the previous street, it has a yield sign, the previous street has nothing. The street after it has a stop sign, and the street after it has nothing.
I noticed the same thing.
And so it's like, a yield sign would make sense if we're gonna do it. You have to kinda wonder if the stop sign should be yield signs too. But it depends on the volume of traffic.
Right.
And
And that stop sign that you're talking, I believe is on Oak Street, has been there probably as long as I've been here, so.
I think that Oak Street gets a little more traffic.
Right.
Which it may warrant it.
Right, especially with all the people going down to Willow River School.
And I think people might be just skipping the other streets because there's a stop or yield sign. I don't
Right.
know. And using that Myrtle instead.
It is possible, but, we'd have to take a look at the traffic counts, and I don't really have those right now, but like I said, if you look at the accident data since 1999, we've only had one accident at that intersection, so, it's not like it's a major concern, but obviously Ms. Navarro feels that something should be done there to at least warn people to slow down at that intersection.
It is interesting because in Old Town, in the newer parts of town, every intersection has some signal control. Where the old part of town, many of them don't have any.
Right.
So it's kind of but I agree, it wouldn't be a stop sign. If anything, it would be a yield sign.
Well, if you look at 9th as a lot of T's and there's nothing there, you go over to 7th Street, and of course, that's all stop signs. And then it kind of intermixed. I'd say the majority of the cross intersections, the east-west, have stop signs. I only saw a few yield signs. So do we continue to take it on a case-by-case basis, or should we just kind of consider all north-south traffic, flow traffic, and then, I don't know.
You can't really do that.
And
You have
the
to take
older-
it by case, I think.
I think the reason that yield sign is in there is because it came up right as we were creating the stop yield sign policy, and we looked at it and said, okay, it really doesn't warrant a stop sign. So that one previous, didn't that come up about 3 years ago?
The one on Orange Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit longer than that, isn't it? But it was relative about the time that we came up with that policy.
Right.
Because we also had one down on 6th and River that had come up as well.
That's right. And that's where we came up with the whole policy.
Right.
I'm willing to look at a yield sign there for now. I mean, we are gonna review this after 60 days.
You mean 2 yield signs or one?
Just the one yield sign.
East-west.
Yeah, I meant 2,
Okay.
but one way, yeah. I
Right.
mean, one
East-west,
east-west,
right.
yes.
We leave 8th Street as a through.
Correct.
Right. That's kind of what I was trying to get at, that
I meant
north-south seems
not
to
all
be-
4 corners is what I meant.
Not a 4-way yield.
Yeah, 4-way yield, that'd be
kinda
interesting.
fun.
And I think the issue there is Myrtle, as I was going down and I was trying to figure out if it was wider or narrower, it felt more open than the other streets. Why you not think to look at the cross street?
I think Myrtle Street is a street that gets a lot of traffic, because, especially from high school students. Because if you take Myrtle to Ninth, and then all you gotta do is take a sharp left and go half a block, and then you're up Fillmore Street to head towards the school. So I think it gets a lot of that before school and after school traffic.
And to remind people that this is an intersection you need to worry about,
Right.
that's a good place for a yield sign.
Yeah, I mean, there was only one accident, that's why I'm thinking a yield sign. If there were multiple accidents, maybe it's something we have to look at more aggressively, but,
Well, even with the number of accidents, I'd first go yield because of the 8th Street being that, it's like people aren't paying attention.
right. Do we have a motion?
Well,
I will
here's-
make a motion for a yield sign then going east-west at 8th and Myrtle.
I was just rereading, okay, I'll second so we can discuss. I was just rereading our policy.
Yeah, to be, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna add, to be reviewed after the first 60 days.
What are we reviewing it for?
He wants to review it,
Okay,
so I said, why not?
okay,
Are you okay with that, seconder?
yes.
Okay,
I'm totally fine with the yield sign action there. You know, there are more stop signs than yield signs down there, so if it becomes an issue, I suppose we could escalate it to become a stop sign, right?
right. Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
When the ability to sell all potentially conflicting traffic is sufficient to allow a road.
Okay,
I'm thinking
number
that's not written right.
Number 10, consider, we'll look at that later. Number 10, consider request to change the speed limit on Vine Street between Grandview Drive and Carmichael Road from 25 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour. Alderperson Wyland, you brought this to our attention, so you have the floor.
And actually, I didn't say 25 to 35. My initial question was whether that street, since it travels well, and it was built for like 45 miles an hour, and I was wondering if we would get more smooth movement through there in and out of the city if it was at 30. And and I was thinking from Grandview out to Carmichael, because that stretch of the road it's not residential. It's more an open street. You know, from Wisconsin down, it's got driveways, it's got alleyways, it's got, it's residential.
Yes.
You know, from that out, it's more, I don't want to say commercial, but it's with cul-de-sacs off of it. It's not directly residential. And I think I'll pass it over to Marty because he started to do some research on it, and the chief found something else quite interesting.
Right. In taking a look at this, I took a look at some of the information that I had gathered back in 2009 when Lori and I went to a conference in regards to speed limits and the authority to change it. And if you look at the definition of an outlying district within a city village, it states that if any 1,000 feet area within any right-of-way has frontage that has buildings, professional housing, whatever, 200 feet or more, that's what it's considered an outlying district. And according to the state statutes, an outlying district's got to have a speed limit of 35 miles an hour. Now, under the statutes of which I gave you guys copies of, it states that for 35 miles an hour, an outlying district, that's as low as it can go. You can raise it 10 miles an hour. You can raise it up to 45 if you want, but according to the statute, you can't lower it. So the 25 miles an hour in that area is obviously not in compliance with state statutes.
Okay, and,
Now, I did, just so I can finish up real quick,
Sorry, I
I
thought you
did
were
talk to Denny Darnold, because I wanted him to take a look at that stretch of road
yeah,
and give me his impression of it and ask me if it meets this definition of an outlying district. And he was in agreement saying, it does appear to be an outlying district, as he takes a look at it. And because the statute states about frontage, and basically that means most often, just like you were saying, Lee, there's a lot of driveways. Most people's driveways come out on those roadways, and if they're within 200 feet, then obviously you're within the city, inside the corporate limits, and that basically gets to 25 miles an hour. But since there's not, and there's more than 200 feet, it meets that definition of it being an outlying district.
okay, so, and we talked about this earlier, that it's a state statute, so I understand it, but my only concern is, this was, what, 5 years ago where we brought this speed limit down, or 4 years ago, or?
I think it's been longer than that.
At least
I think it was back
It's not
15
been,
years
no, it
Randy
has
was
not been
here.
that
I
long.
want to say it's.
I wasn't in Hudson for 15 years.
I think
I
it was
don't
about,
ever
I think it
remember
was about 10 years ago. I think it was first part of 2000 when it was.
No
brought
way.
down.
It had to be, it was when I remember sitting in that gallery, it was when it was, no, I was still living on 17th Street.
No, I think you're thinking about, when we lowered it down for the section that he first had brought forward from Carmichael to
Right.
Diamond Drive
Yeah.
area.
Well, that's
That was-
still
that
part of the
was-
section that we're talking about.
Right, that was brought down. but
Right.
It was,
And that
was
was,
35 all the way from the high school
Right.
out past that point
right,
up until about 1999, and then it got brought down
right.
to 25 miles an hour.
My concern is that section that you just brought up between Diamond and I talked to some residents over there, and because I remember there was a big hoo-ha here at the safety meeting, I remember, and their concern is that you have it at 35, people tend to go 40, across the street, 2 children have been hit there. I'm not saying that that we shouldn't follow state statute. I want to put out there the concerns of that neighborhood as we have this discussion for discussion purposes here. So we keep this in mind as we're making this decision, because I think if we change that to 35 miles per hour, we're going to have some people knocking on our door asking us why we did that, and
Right.
we kind of stick to our guns is what I'm saying if we're going to make this change. And
Now,
you
are we
know.
talking about, because I'm in agreement with Mary, and, if you're up on Cooley and you're going 35, some people are going 50 miles an hour. They just are. I mean, and obviously we can't stop everybody, but it's hard just to even turn out of the parking lot of Plaza 94 just to get on 35. There's lots of driveways, and when you go to the YMCA at a particular time of the day, there's so much traffic there, people can barely move, and going at such a high rate of speed, it'll be you'd almost need traffic control there to make sure that all that could flow.
which that was tried and removed, so
Yeah.
we're
And
going
there
to
was-
skip that idea.
Needs to be more like frankly, a stoplight would be more effective than a four-way stop, but that's just my opinion. So now, based on what you're talking about, isn't 35 eligible only past the, is that Grandview there?
Where the blinking stop sign is Grandview.
No, we're,
Diamond Drive?
Diamond Drive is by the Y.
okay, so many feet past Diamond Drive, when you're coming down the other way, yeah, that speed sign is like telling you you're going too fast. Well, it feels like you should be going 35 anyway.
It does feel like you.
It seems like somewhere in there, it would transition to 25, I think would be a reasonable scenario, but not up to Diamond Drive, I don't think would be acceptable.
According to the state statute, it's from Wisconsin all the way to Carmichael, from the high school all the way to Carmichael.
If you took a look at what the definition of an outlying district would be.
Right.
And that's,
But-
like I said, that's why I checked with Denny first to make sure that, how that went.
And I'll bring up a couple things, because I was very involved in that, the issues right at Diamond Drive, and we put the stops, try to put the stop signs in.
Mhm.
And one of the things that happened is I heard a lot of feedback from the school and from the busing that, this was adding lots of time to
It was trouble.
There's problems.
Yeah.
But I sat up there with one of those radar units, and the problem coming across Diamond Drive was people driving 45 miles an hour. They're going like crazy. Well, as soon as you put those, and I was instrumental in putting in those speed signs.
Mhm.
As soon as you put the speed signs in, people say, oh, that's what I need to drive. And it wasn't the people driving 25 or 30 or 35 that were the problem across that intersection. It was the people that were blowing through there as if they just came off the highway. That's what I tracked when I tested it, Most people were between that 25 and 35, and they didn't have a problem across the intersection. I think that by putting that speed sign in there, we are controlling speed across those intersections and, keeping people more consistent coming across those intersections. You're right, when it gets busy on a corner, it gets busy, and then people don't drive very fast at all because there's too many cars there. It slows everybody down.
What was said about, I'm trying to find what you said, Marty, about the 200 feet.
If you go to the definitions of what an outlying district is.
Yeah, I'm trying to find, why am I not seeing, I didn't flip the page. Forget it, that's right here.
Find it?
Yeah, I never flipped the page. Okay. John, do you have anything, any more input?
I don't know, I guess I'm wondering, are we going to be forced to change this to 30-35, or considering it, or do we have any leeway in terms of variation, or, what are we saying here?
Well, if I guess basically how I'm reading the statutes, I think you'd have to bring it up to 35 miles an hour. However, it's been that way for such a long period of time. I think if you wanted to maybe have Catherine take a look at the statutes, from a legal perspective, just to see that we're proceeding on solid footing, that'd be fine. She's been out this past week. so-
I
Yeah,
just
because I'm not
personally-
reading this outlying district the same way that
Yeah.
you're reading it. I mean, within 80,000 feet along such highway, the buildings in use for business, well, isn't that like, State Farm Insurance is there, we got an eye doctor, we have all that there, we with a vet, and then they're on average more than 200 feet apart. I mean, I feel like between the Y
Well,
and,
there's 2 churches there, the
but
YMCA,
the-
a school, I mean,
But the thing you gotta look at is the word fronting, which basically means like their driveways, like a house would have a driveway, the front would face that way.
oh, so since their driveways are you have to turn to get to the driveways, it's not, okay.
That's why the reason they put fronting in there, because most people's, obviously, driveways come into the front of the house.
Yeah, it's
where
dangerous.
facing.
Yeah.
And it says any 1,000 feet. Well, you could have, would you want to have 35 miles an hour up to Diamond Drive, and then we'll make it 25, and then once we get past there, 10, 20 feet, we make it 35 again?
No, I would
See what
assume
I'm
with the
saying?
church there and stuff, we wouldn't, because
Well,
their driveway does
but-
come
but
out
the
to
church-
the,
but the church is fronting, but what's the next fronting business within 200 feet?
after the church, but there's residents after that.
Yeah, but they're not fronting. See what I'm saying?
They don't have
The
driveways.
school?
They don't have driveways.
They don't have
The
driveways.
school, but that's more than 200 feet. See where all the houses have their backs or their sides facing
Yeah,
the roadway?
yeah.
And it
No,
goes all-
that was my question when I brought this to Denny. I said, how do you read this?
We
Am I
don't-
reading this the same way? And he said, yeah, that's how he interprets it.
And it all goes off to side roads. It's not
Correct.
driveways, yeah.
There's a driveway that goes into the YMCA and those businesses right there, and then just down the road from Diamond to the east, and I can't think of whose property that is, there's that farmhouse that has the driveway that goes, and that might be within 200 feet, but that would be the only stretch that would meet the 25 mile an hour zone, so.
Don't get me wrong, I would love to see it be 35 miles per hour. I'm just nervous. I'm worried about the residents in that subdivision and the YMCA. I'm worried about that whole area, and
Yep, me
I
too.
understand if it doesn't meet the ordinance, then we're kind of in a pickle, but I don't think we need Catherine to look at it. I mean, you read it, Denny's read it, you guys have a brain, so it's not like,
I guess the thing that I bring up is that we made steps to make that crossing safer by putting in the flag system and putting in the lighting system to get people, bring them down from their 45 miles an hour and their back down to a consistent speed. One of the things coming across there was inconsistency. I'd see one person at 25, another at 45, another at 30, so the crossers really, we're uncertain, based on how people are going. I think there's a lot more consistency across that intersection, and with the flags, have increased the safety. There are other ways to increase it too, which we outlined back then. We talked about putting in a median. We talked, if you had to do some things, there are some things you can do to increase safety but still keep traffic flowing.
Would you feel more comfortable if we had the engineering firm take a look at this stretch and ask if they
Yes.
met the definition? We can
Absolutely.
definitely do
yeah,
that.
I think we should do that at least.
I'll move that we have the engineering department review our definitions here, and if it turns out that the definition is accurate, that it gets forwarded on to council.
So you want to have them look at it between now and council, and if your motion is that you want it to be approved if per their contingent upon their
Correct.
recommendation. I'm going to second it just because I want at least council input on this. If the engineering, I don't mind let council have full council have input on this if the engineering firm agrees to it. I think that's still Lori's district, so she might want some input over there too, or is that District 6? No, it's between the two, so they might want some input for their districts.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I just don't agree at all, and I'm not trying to be difficult. I just don't think anywhere between Diamond and Wisconsin should be 35. There's a four-way stop in there, a couple churches, a school. I mean, there's just things in there that I believe are still, and I go up there every day, go to the YMCA, and it's just heavy traffic all the time.
yeah.
And people go as fast as they can without either hitting something or getting caught, and so people are they're pushing the speed limit on Vine Street anyway. So 35 is gonna be more like 45, is how
Yeah.
I think. So I guess I'm not in favor of anything past Diamond. That's where I'm at.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I just wanted to see what the engineering firm says, and, you know, I think this is something that I'd like to hear full council's opinion on.
Well, and outlying, and based on my DOT experience, because I used to work there, that you would have more traffic control and even perhaps have 4 lanes there, not a 2-lane, given the speed requirements and the amount of cross-traffic and flow, so,
There-
I don't know.
There is one thing we might want to take a look at. Obviously, we want to have the engineers take a look at it, but if you look under the section 3, local authorities may not, and it says in there, may not modify any existing speed limit without the consent of the department, which is the Department of Transportation, Safety. Department of Transportation, I mean. Maybe we have the engineering firm do that. At the same time, we contact the DOT and see if there's a way we can modify that speed limit up there to meet what you're looking for and bring it back to the next safety meeting.
We can do that. And the, and originally, like I said, I was looking at increasing it to 30, not 35, so.
Okay, I'm gonna rescind my second, because,
So we make a motion that this goes to the engineering firm and reviewed by the DOT. Is that right?
I'll make
And
contact.
then bring it
with
back
them.
to safety, that's fine.
I'll second that.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Good work. Okay. Next. Consider participation in the MABAS Wisconsin and create a St. Croix County division. You are on, sir. Maybe, maybe not. We have a PowerPoint presentation that could possibly make it
It was up there before.
Just up there, man.
You gotta turn the screen on here.
While you're getting ready, I'll tell you that the fire board unanimously made the recommendation that we become part of this. And I believe that Eric and his team have been working on some pieces too. You want to mention that while they're trying to get that up?
Oh, yeah, this, myself and Matt from Melby, the director for New Richmond Ambulance, have been meeting with Casey Swetlick a couple times about doing the same
There it is,
system for
right? Got it.
EMS in the county, and actually worked with the same gentleman that presented that to the fire board, but now that fire's on board, this will probably change our direction a little bit to more merging with the fire Mavis system, because they're all gonna go to the same call anyway, so.
Okay.
The EMS will be integrated into the box cards that are created. After the warehouse fire in North Hudson, I've been on a quest to broaden our resource base for those large-scale incidents. And I was hoping to work into Minnesota. However, the tort liabilities between the states, some of those agencies over there aren't willing to come on board. So this is the next best thing to be in there. Wisconsin State Fire Chiefs have taken on MABUS as the state, or as the response plan for the Wisconsin State Fire Chiefs. So, what is MABUS? A fire service mutual aid system with fire EMS and special operations hazardous materials resources. It's established by the fire service, or the fire service. It's neighbors helping neighbors, much like the mutual aid we have now. Now what did you do?
And then just do, where's
If I could have it on the screen here, it'd be a lot better.
Space bar.
There you go.
Just hit this,
All right.
space bar, you got it.
Much like the mutual aid agreements we have now, this broadens it way out, and eventually they're hopeful that all the counties in the state will be in this MABUS system.
Can you tell them the difference between today when you call for mutual aid and when you're part of the MABUS system? Is that?
Today, when I call for mutual aid, I'm limited to the agencies in St. Croix County and the 4 agencies we have mutual aid across the river. When we're in this MABUS system, I can get resources from all the MABUS agencies, so it can be, well, like I said, they're hopeful that all the counties in the state become divisions. So, and then it also gives us access to some special resources that we may not have, but they may be a couple counties over.
I think the other difference was, today if you call for mutual aid, they're gonna bill you back.
Yeah, we're gonna get charged.
That's a big difference.
And-
No, if I need that special resource that's 2 counties over, I'm gonna get, somebody's gonna have, it's actually gonna have to be a kind of like a proclamation. You know, I'm gonna have to go through hurdles to get authorization to get that equipment here. With the MABUS system, I don't have to, I or the incident commander, don't have to go through those hurdles. It's already in place.
One of the things that was interesting in the presentation, he said, for instance, if you've got a fire that you need foam, I know he is the commander for the area,
Right.
knows that a certain county has foam. You call a boxcar alert and say, I need something. They can then tie the counties together and find the resource you need and get it on the road within an hour or less. And because you're willing to let your resources be called out, only a percentage of them, which you'll get to, other counties will do the same thing, and there is no bill back. It's, we are here for you, you are here for us.
Yeah, it's a no cost, and it's a reciprocal agreement. When you need help, we go. When we need their help, they come. So, to be in the MABUS program, it's all voluntary. Liabilities is greatly reduced, like in the North Hudson incident, without contracts, those agencies that sent resources, we're kind of hanging out there liability-wise. The MABUS agreements iron all that out ahead of time. It does a pre-plan for different types of emergencies before the incident. This can be done geographic. I mean, the box cards, when they make the box cards, they can make them geographically for a certain business or a certain area, certain type of incident. It gets pretty in-depth when you're making these box cards out.
Alan, can you kind of tell them a little bit about a box card? We heard about it, but they don't know. They don't have a clue.
I'm picturing a box car.
Yeah, not a box card, a box card. Box card is the pre-planned resource card for the type of incident that you may be responding to. So in other words, and it's done in 5 tiers. So it's like when you hear the term 3-alarm fire kind of thing, or 5-alarm fire, that's how those box cards are set out. If you call for, send me the second box alarm, those resources are pre-designated as to where they're coming from, and it's set up, you set up the box cards so you don't deplete anyone's area of too much.
Okay.
So you may, for instance, the box card may be set up for, say, a ladder out of Dunn County and an engine out of Polk County, for instance. So you don't pull too many resources out of one particular area.
So any of our equipment is eligible, is it gonna be any of our equipment, or?
Yes.
But when you plan the box card, you say, I can spare this much equipment for a shared resource. This
Right.
much equipment stays here always.
Right,
Okay,
exactly.
so what if that, you can change that at any time, or what if that much equipment has depleted in our department?
Usually they're not gonna pull any more than like one engine or one ladder out of any particular agency if it's going somewhere else. That's how you set up the box card, so you don't short the
Right.
home. You take a little from here and a little from there and a little from there without shorting any one, and without area-wide depleting the area-wide
That's what
in
I'm-
case of the second large incident
Right.
going on at the
That's
same
my
time.
concern.
Smart, very smart.
This system originally started in Illinois, and it migrated into Wisconsin in the southeast portion where they were running mutual aid back and forth between Illinois and Wisconsin. And then Wisconsin adopted, kind of in 2006, Wisconsin adopted it, and it's kind of spread from there. There's a map coming up here that show you how many counties
That was my next question.
are into
Which
this.
which counties we surround, actually?
Not-
Before you jump off that one, what was really interesting about that example, he said they're going back and forth across state lines. The first time they had to call across the state lines for help, well, they called the mayor, who then called the fire chief, who then called the city attorney and said, can we do this? Can we cross state lines? Can we help them? And then, of course, they had to call the, whoever else and half the council to try to decide if they can send an engine. This solves that problem. All this stuff is planned ahead of time to say what you can and can't do, what you can send, liability is covered. There was another piece on here.
But it doesn't cover, this doesn't cross state lines, this is within Wisconsin.
Well, here we're talking about whether or not Minnesota's considering being a MABUS state.
But they're not yet.
They're not yet, but they're working on it. And as we build this agreement with the counties around us, and then as Minnesota gets into it, then all of our mutual aid partners will be part of MABUS. So now we have a lot more flexibility to get help as well as to help.
The closest MABUS county right now is Dunn County,
Where in Dunn County?
all of Dunn County.
So all of Dunn County is involved, which means all the fire departments in Dunn County have to agree upon that, and that's, I mean,
It takes 4 agencies within the county to start a MABUS division.
okay. So Menominee, for example, isn't that the
Is-
closest city in Dunn
is-
County to us,
Is
is Menominee?
part, yeah, is part of MABUS.
Okay. Just want to know where the closest city is if we need to share resources, that's all. I
Right.
mean,
I think
if my house is burning, I want to know what's going on.
Yeah,
River Falls is looking at the MABUS program as
right,
well.
Pierce County is looking at it as well.
Right.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, New Richmond would count, because
They're part of St. Croix.
They're part of St. Croix, but
aren't they part of our mutual aid?
they're part of the St. Croix County Mutual Aid Pact.
Yeah, they're still there, yeah.
Yeah.
I meant if we had to reach beyond our
I got you. A big fire.
big one.
Go back again, began in the Chicago suburbs in 1968. They grew into Wisconsin in 87. It's designed for large-scale incidents, natural or emergencies. The system exponentially grew. 2006, the legislation was set forth. Currently, there's 37 counties. This slide's a little bit old. There's more counties than that. Here's the county map that has, or the map that has the counties that are MABUS states. The ones that have numbers, the light blue ones, those are the ones that are MABUS counties. The ones in yellow have the preliminary paperwork in to become MABUS counties.
So how long is it, we obviously don't have our paperwork in yet, because
No.
we're talking about it now.
We need
Right.
So how long does it take once our paperwork is in?
It takes 1.5 to 2 years to be online.
So this isn't going to be in effect for 1.5 to 2 years?
Right.
Okay.
There's a lot of work that
I see
has
this. Yeah,
to
that's
be
why-
done to develop box cards. There's some communication protocols that the county has to be involved with. And there's issues there because they don't have room in their rack system for radio frequency that has to be there.
Right.
So,
Do we have that?
no.
So we're gonna need to look at that.
We have the radio frequency, but they need it in the dispatch
Right.
center.
Okay.
The radios we purchased here the last year with the grant funding, they're all compliant to work on this MABUS system. Not all of our radios, but at least our front line, what we would send for aid, has the right radios in it.
One of the procedures they mentioned earlier, without MABUS, the only way that one county can really help another one is if the governor declares a disaster.
Right.
Right,
And this, without the disaster, you can say we need help.
right. it speeds things up immensely. Yeah, this gets into that slide. The local fire chiefs determine the needs and remains in charge. So we don't relinquish any authority or anything for Mavis. Even if you have a different incident management team come over, this, you know, I've been there 12 hours, I need to go home and rest. You can get a whole different incident management team in there. They run the show, but we still own it. City still owns it. And then the Mavis contracts address the liability caps and indemnification, workers' compensation and reimbursement. There's communications protocol in there for interoperability communications, response protocol for policies and procedures, and equipment and resource protocol.
The back on cost, what he did mention there is that if there's consumable materials like foam or something like that the county has to pay for, then you would reimburse them for the cost of the foam that you used.
Right.
But there isn't a cost for
personnel and equipment.
Right.
But you said that the dispatch is not set up for it yet?
That's correct.
And is that gonna be a reasonable cost that this isn't
But
gonna be?
I don't know what the cost is, but they're aware. I talked with Terry Anderson and Casey Swetlick earlier this week, and their racking or what can hold radios is full, so it's kind of a major undertaking for them.
So are they on board to try and make
The-
this happen?
The county yeah, they are as far as emergency management goes.
Right.
The county officers are gonna have to address, that committee and
So there's still another step, is my point. We
Right,
gotta
well,
get
there's
the
a lot
county-
of, there's a lot of steps.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, before we really go farther out, we have to make sure the county's on board with this too, and,
Right, but this is the first process.
Right.
If we're not on board or the council's not on board here, there's no sense.
right, there's no sense going to county, correct.
So, and that was when the county officers met, that was my thing. I said, well, let's see how the councils and boards feel about this before we put much time and effort into
Yeah,
it.
that's good.
And like you said, we're looking at a year and a half or 2
Right.
years out, so we're not asking for tomorrow, but we're asking for approval pretty
Sure.
quick, and then, so we can continue working down this avenue.
So we need 4 in St. Croix County to get this thing going.
Yep.
So, do you know the other 3 that would be involved, or?
Yeah, Somerset, St. Joe, and I believe United Fire, which would be Baldenham and Woodville. And then us, would be number 4. New Richmond, Somerset chief was gonna recontact the New Richmond chief, and, of course, he's worried about cost, so. As we all are, you know, I mean, I'll try to do this as economically as we can.
You know, and you look at it, does it make a lot of sense for our equipment to sit idle while they're fighting something they can't handle? And that's, you know, really helps here.
Well, I can tell you from being there, it's a helpless situation to be in the command post. Your operations officers yelling for resources, and you have no more to give them.
Right. It's dangerous too.
Absolutely.
And we actually have gotten box card calls on our dispatch center.
Right,
Because,
exactly.
you know, the next county over, they call, we need box card 2 filled, and our dispatch center doesn't, the guy said, well, took another sip of my coffee and said, oh, that's nice, what's that mean? You know,
Yeah.
so they're.
When the Knapp house burnt in Knapp, they were requesting a strike team of tankers out of St. Croix County. So when their Dunn County's dispatcher called, they said, we're looking for a strike team of tankers. Well, the dispatcher is working, goes, and hands the call over to another one that was familiar with fire service or whatever.
Yeah.
So, so they were able to get 5 tankers out of St. Croix County to go into Dunn. But because Dunn was used to that system,
Yeah, communication was a little.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But these are different types of incidents where this may be used. Like I said, eventually this MAVA system, they hope to be statewide. We can grab resources throughout the state of Wisconsin. In building those, some of those, oops, did you just, in building some of those box cards, they also build in some move-up stuff. So if, so there's other agencies moving into other agency stations to backfill. So it's basically, what you're doing is you're taking your reserve equipment and moving it around where you need it to be.
I don't know.
Nate. I think we need to be back on TV, Nate.
I don't think I kicked anything.
Nate,
How many more slides do you have?
There's quite a few.
There's quite a
Well,
few.
you just tell me when to cut it
No,
off.
I'm
or
just
when
saying
you-
that did we fix this, or is there like one slide and we're just, well, it's a little touchy, isn't it?
There you go.
Put in budget.
Back up.
Yeah, and like I said,
I get it. I know now if it happens again.
yeah, it says moves fire service resources from areas not affected into the disaster area. It also can, when you design your box cards, you can backfill somebody's station. So if they go out and, daytime for us in the fire service as a whole, in the volunteer fire service, is really tough to get people. So, and again, it can be activated without a disaster declaration. The first activation was the Patrick Cudahy meatpacking plant. It was a 7-day incident, industrial fire, involving hazardous materials and major evacuation and sheltering. It involved 8 counties, 9 MAVIS divisions, 64 fire departments, 110 fire units, 450 fire personnel, 9 task force, 2 strike teams, hazardous materials teams, EMS support for sheltering center, and 33 million gallons of water pump. The outcome because of MAVIS, or they feel because of MAVIS, the company's vial processing was saved. The company reopened the following week. The company committed to rebuild because that's a major employer in that area. Company called back workers. The city historic icon was saved. The largest city employer stays. City's major tax base was saved. Interstate resources to MAVIS, like Illinois is a MAVIS state, that where we could get resources out of Illinois. Minnesota is in the process of looking at MAVIS. They had just done a presentation to Minnesota Public Safety, so they're very interested in becoming a MAVIS state as well. This is important. MAVIS is not intended to relieve a community of their responsibilities for providing adequate emergency services for local emergencies. They had an incident in La Crosse. La Crosse County joined MAVIS, and then City of La Crosse started cutting their full-time firefighters, said, we'll use MAVIS. Well, MAVIS stepped in and said, no, you can't do that. That's not what this is for. So MAVIS is not intended to reduce the staffing. It's intended for large-scale incidents. you need to sign the contracts and follow policies and procedures. So for us, our steps is advisory board approved this already. I need it approved or either by resolution or ordinance to belong to Mavis, and signed by the top elected official, sign the Mavis contract, submit, go ahead.
Has Catherine looked at this?
I submitted it to Jan, so I don't know if Catherine's reviewed it or not. You can't.
They did say they were very confident because so many counties have signed it. It's been reviewed many, many times.
Many times.
Yeah,
And
it looks pretty straightforward.
And you can't alter the language at all. That's one of the stipulations.
I'm just curious if she's writing something up or.
Well, and then, once that's done, then sign resolution contract to Mavis, Wisconsin, and then they form a steering committee to establish a implementation plan to go live, and that would be done on our behalf. And it's contacts the president. The gentleman's name for our area is Rick Merrifield. That it kind of covers this side of the state, central Wisconsin. So he's the one that did the presentation for the Joint Fire Advisory Board.
I think this is a fantastic way to support our public safety. I would like to make a motion that we recommend to council that we join Mavis.
Second that. Do we have to, when it goes to council, it has to go in ordinance form? So I don't know.
In ordinance or resolution, and there were sample ordinance or resolutions in the, that came with this, or that are available. And there's, if you want to dig into it more, you can go to Mavis, Wisconsin website, and they got a whole host of information in there.
Is there any downside to Mavis?
None that I've heard.
In the presentation, you know, I thought they picked them apart pretty good, and it's like, you know.
There were a lot of questions asked in the advisory board.
It's been designed pretty foolproof.
It's been around since '68, yeah, it's a long time.
It's a proven system.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good, let's hope that we'll get something written up, hopefully for the next council meeting, I don't know. So,
Yeah, great
trust
job.
that you'll follow up on that?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, great. All right, number 12, we struck off the agenda, so we're at 13 with EMS, Fire Department, and Police Department updates. Why don't we have, let's go with the Fire Department update because it's kind of 13 and 14 can all be kind of lumped together with update on siren and stuff like that and everything, so is there a Fire Department update?
Yeah, I got a couple items. Pancake breakfast, the fire department pancake breakfast will be April 22nd. I'd like to invite everybody there. It's always a good time. And the high school is going to have their mock prom crash again this year, and that'll be April 18th.
Okay, great. Eric?
I do have a couple.
One more thing? Okay.
We do have a couple practice training house burns coming up.
Okay, where would those be?
One of them's on Carmichael Road, and that's gonna be March 26th.
Okay.
And the other one will be May 14th,
Where would that be?
and that's on Front Street,
Okay,
Oh, you're gonna do that one,
the wastewater.
yeah.
so that, the wastewater house, the house next to wastewater,
Yeah.
and Carmichael Road is, where,
What, I think it's 765, I think is the address.
okay. Good. That's good. Eric?
A couple things, we want to thank the staff at Barker's in San Pedro. During their holiday party, all the tips went to for the bartender serving them, went to us. They donated $300 collected, so if anybody want to thank the staff there at those two organizations. April 16th will be the mock crash for the high school, and,
Which date?
It's the 18th.
18th, sorry. Okay. 2 days ahead, sorry.
Check out now.
18th, yeah. And that is put on by the Students Against Drunk Driving organizations. They do this every 3 years for the upperclassmen, and we've started a couple meetings, and that'll go on. So that'll be presented there at the high school, including from the scene all the way into the courtroom scene. So it's been pretty effective, and it's a good learning tool for everybody. So I guess as Alan said the other night at the meeting, I've been offered and accepted a job as emergency services director for Door County, Wisconsin, and it was a tough decision. It was not in any way, shape, any reflection for the city of Hudson here. It was just a personal desire to move closer to home and be a little closer to family, and I just want to say to this council, for years that I've been on board, I want to say thank you. It's been an honor and privilege. So
Thank you for all you've done.
Thank you.
When are you departing us?
I will be as of right now the second or third week in April, with sometime in the third week. So we'll be meeting with the EMS Commission and then following their recommendation to the council to appoint an interim director until a permanent one can be named later. So
Okay. And why don't you just speak on, update on the siren?
the sirens, I had American Signal Corporation do a quick study of locations that on our coverage area. We're pretty covered in the city of Hudson as far as decibels and allowance, and the only exception would be now out towards the middle school. That could probably look at in the future of getting a siren. To wire this siren up above the fire station is going to approximately be, I would say, $4,000. That includes installation and all that, and so that would be radio activated. To radio activate the siren that is now still phone landline activated, we're talking another probably $3,000 to $4,000 a year.
Wait, which one is, there's two sirens that are activated?
There's two sirens. We have 3 sirens total in the city of Hudson. 2 of them are radio activated and one is still phone activated, and that one is behind the high school. This one is deactivated. This is manual only.
That's the 4th siren.
Yeah, so we would have 4 sirens that we could have. So according to the decibel and the range and the radius and that, the sirens are adequate, but I know sometimes downtown, depending on weather conditions, there's so many factors, heat, humidity, that goes into the actual sound of these things. So it would be, as of right now, we can manually activate these, but the radio control would require a receiver and that. So.
The reason I brought this up was because there have been issues in downtown. When the sirens go off on Main Street, you can't hear them, or at least where we were at, you couldn't hear them. And I started thinking about the town up in northern Minnesota who, right downtown, didn't hear the sirens go off, or something didn't go off and the tornado came right through town. I'm thinking we have this siren here that's just sitting there, and it's literally faced into downtown. So
Are we not activating it manually right now?
No.
So can we activate it manually? I mean,
We can. It requires that someone would have to
Someone has to
know
be
when
there.
we're notified of the severe weather or tornado to come down here and
Flip the switch.
flip the switch.
turn it on and then turn it off, and then, right.
Would we be looking at possibly putting a radio into the one at the high school so they're all go off at the same time versus having to have one on landline?
Well, and when you look at their screen up there, they click the button and it goes off.
Okay.
So they easily set the one up there off. My major concern was this one, it can get turned on, but we're not utilizing it. So I wanted to see if we could put this into next year's budget to activate that siren and to allow it to help us cover downtown, where I really don't think we're covered that well.
which budget would it come from? Trying to think. Where would it come from?
Well, we're gonna have a reduction in the EMS salaries. I think they're coming there.
It's done right there.
Wow.
You know,
Here's my U-Haul.
no, seriously though, where,
I think that goes to finance to look at the funding source. because it comes, you know, it's the overall budget question.
Right, you don't want to suggest a possible area or,
Well, the sirens have always been funded out of the public works budget.
okay, we'll
Oh,
see, there
okay.
you go.
Past.
All right, I didn't, I
We
wasn't
have an
aware of
area,
that.
someone,
Because
something's
there's not
funding
an
those sirens.
emergency management.
emergency management
budget or anything,
Right.
so.
Is it possible to talk to Casey and see if there's maybe possibly a grant?
I did check on that, and there are few and far, and, you know, and there are some out there, but they're not geared towards notification, a lot of them.
So let's say in Tilden, I'm sorry, Tilden, we, if there's a concern, who would activate the siren until, I mean, we're talking next year's budget. Is someone
Yeah.
gonna run out in a storm and go and activate a siren, or are we gonna leave
They
it
do it
down?
sometimes. I understand that sometimes that it has
If I'm
been
in the
done.
house if I'm in the house over there,
You activate it.
and the warning comes through, I'll activate it, but.
Yeah.
2 o'clock in the morning or something.
Right, that's my point. We're still sitting, okay.
I guess I'd like to make a motion make a recommendation to finance that we look at radio activating the siren on top of the fire hall to help with coverage in downtown.
I'll second that.
And do you think we have a problem with coverage in downtown? You seem to think it was really up by the middle school.
I think that siren up on 8th Street is designed where the sound goes go
over.
over the hill, and so it may be windy, we may not hear it. The rotation of the siren sometimes leaves a gap.
I don't hear the sirens that well down here.
Yeah,
at all.
exactly. Downtown,
Street,
yeah.
It's hard to hear them.
Yeah.
Sometimes
And the
you're
reason
like,
for that
is
is
that a
because
siren?
of the hill,
Yeah.
the sound waves are still,
Even at my house, you're like, did I think I heard something?
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
not definitive, and it could be, is that coming from across the river?
Right.
I'm not sure, so yeah, it's kind of hard to hear down here.
So I think it would help more than just, I think it would help the whole downtown area.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
I
Okay, we'll move it on to finance and see what they can do. Thank you for that. Now we have, Marty, you're got an update, plus we have B and C on 14 to discuss.
Oh, okay. Update police department. Just want to let everybody know that we're going to have our 6th Citizens Police Academy starting on March 27th. It'll run for 9 weeks. Starts at 6 o'clock and goes to 9. You're going to get an opportunity to drive a squad car with red lights and siren on, a chance to shoot a taser, use a handgun in a deadly force situation, try to lift a fingerprint off a glass. It's not as easy as it looks. It's not like CSI, but if you're interested in seeing what your Hudson Police Department does or what it's like to be a police officer, I encourage everybody that either lives or works in the Hudson area, give us a call, myself or Lieutenant Atkinson at the Hudson Police Department at 386-4771. We have a form to fill out. There's a small cost, $25, that basically this covers a little bit of overhead so that we can put this program on. So we've got, I think, 3 or 4 people signed up now. We need at least 10 people to run the class. So if you know anybody that's interested in the class, please, past graduates, I'm looking at 2 of them right now.
It was a good course. I mean, you learned a
I'm
lot.
taking it, I'm in,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I didn't know what 2.0 looked like. It's crazy.
It is. The other thing I wanted to bring up is that there's an article in this week's paper, but the police department has now got a Facebook page up and running, and we also have a Twitter account up and running. So we're going to try to keep everybody notified as much as we possibly can on those 2 sites of what's going on in the city. Some of the things we put up there, we've notified them when there have been snow plowing events possibly coming up. We've put those on the Twitter account, the Facebook. Daylight savings time came up, we just put that up. Anytime we're going to have a possible crime spree where we've had problems with vehicle break-ins, we're going to put notifications out to people to make sure that they keep an eye on their vehicles and so forth. So we're going to use that for communication purpose within the city, and we hope that citizens will also use it to communicate with us. Send us, messages back saying, hey, I saw a problem here, I saw a problem there. So it's been up and running now about a week and a half. So
Who has the pleasure of running it?
there's 3 of us that manage it, myself, Melanie, and Lieutenant Atkinson. So
Good.
I look on it every day, 2 or 3 times a day, to see if somebody's posted something. So we got 118 people the last time I checked. 120 now. that are following us, so.
It's good.
It's pretty good, so we're kind of excited about that.
Good.
So,
And then,
the next one is the guidelines for patients carrying concealed weapons. That's something that Eric and I have been kind of working on. We've got a policy that we're looking at implementing. With the new carrying concealed law that comes out, with people's rights to carry firearms, we've run into problems where the police department might be called to either the hospital or by EMS to come and remove a firearm from somebody that might be incapacitated. After talking with Eric and taking a look at the different legal options that come to us, we've worked out this policy. I think this came from Marshfield, Marathon County, where we're not going to come and help unless absolutely necessary, unless we need to clear the weapon, or if the person may be a felon or committed a crime, then we'll take possession of the weapon. Otherwise, EMS and hospital are going to have to take care of it themselves as property.
And our policy is gonna be, we'll secure the weapon. If our crews aren't comfortable, the police will secure it. We'll still keep the weapon with us, treat it as patient property, take it to the hospital, and then turn it over to the hospital. And what the hospital's policy is, that's up to them, but it's just a matter of.
Right. It's a new day and age. It's something that, we've got to get used to, obviously, with the new carry conceal law that's out there. So, it's something we wanted to put in place to make sure that if it does happen, or when it does happen, well, at least our guys, our officers and EMTs will know what's going to happen, so. And then, the last one was information just on the collection agency. We did take a look at it. I met with Mary and the mayor and brought up some different options in regards to getting after some of these outstanding parking fines. Collection agency, we were looking at spending about, I think wasn't it 19% they wanted on collections per amount of money? So if they collected $100, they would get $19 out of it. Oh yeah, it's quite a bit of money.
Okay, I'm just curious, you already have a collection agency, right?
but we looked and all.
Yeah, this is one that's specifically designed for collecting parking. It's something that River Falls uses for helping collecting their outside parking, so it was quite expensive.
But we have other means.
We do have other means. We can do tax intercepts on these, and we're gonna take a look at that process. But what we're doing right now is, I've taken the 4 highest ones that we have that live in the state of Wisconsin, and we are getting the municipal court to issue them a notice to come into court and tell why they haven't paid their parking fines. And if they don't show up, they're gonna issue warrants for the arrest, and we're gonna come and pick them up. So we're gonna try that option. One of them owes us over $1,700 in parking fines. So it's our hope that this will get their attention. So,
Not the tax intercept will.
well, it will. We're gonna try this first to see how it works. If it comes to be too cumbersome, the one thing with the tax intercepts is you can only do it in the spring of the year, obviously when tax collect, when people are getting their tax returns. Or warrant, you can do it any time of the year.
Right.
So.
But there's no reason why we can't implement both concepts if we need to.
Correct. And we did boot a vehicle again today from Minnesota.
Yeah.
So we did.
How much did they owe?
It was $127.
And did they pay it?
Yes, they did. They wanted their vehicle back.
There you go.
So it seems to be working. We don't run into as many repeat violators like we used to.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
We don't run into as many repeat violators as we used to, and we send out those boot letters once a month, and a lot of people get them, and you can tell when they go out because people are immediately coming in and paying off their fines.
It's good. That's what the goal is, and hopefully we plugged the hole, and we're not going to collect on what's outstanding, and won't see any future major issues. Major financial.
And then it gets back to put the quarter in and move your car and put the quarter in. I mean, they won't get to the point, we're mitigating the problem.
Well, yeah.
Back to the point where just pay when you're parked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, we had to plug that hole first. I think it's plugged. I think we're doing okay.
The reason I asked about the collections, because I know that your process is different, where depending on aging, depending on a few other things, the price goes up, but it's a percentage rather than a fixed fee. So I don't know what the difference
Different
is.
phases, it's phase 1, 2, 3, and then I think it's 7%, 12%, and then 33%, and it goes to a collection.
And if I recall, we looked into piggybacking on their collection agency, and
I don't know if I looked specifically at theirs, but I looked at ones that did specifically parking, And basically what they would do is they would try to make first letter contact, then phone contact, try to get a hold of these people. And then if they couldn't get them to voluntarily cooperate, then they were going to probably contact their credit scores, let the credit bureaus know that they owe. And then they were gonna do what we were gonna do, tax intercepts.
Yeah,
So
same thing.
this
so
is
we
something
just
that
do
we
it on
could be
our own,
doing
skip a
ourselves
step.
and save that money.
Yeah.
And the only reason I was thinking if these contracts work together, maybe they don't do anything as small as parking tickets, maybe that's the problem, because your bills are a
Well,
lot
we have
higher.
we have a billing company, and then we contract with a separate
Yeah,
collection agency.
I just thinking, since you already have a contract, maybe it'd be cheaper just to make this
Right.
part of it.
I can certainly call our collection agency and find out if they do parking. I don't know if they do or not, so.
Now you guys work that out.
Make
Okay.
it so.
I got a month.
Any other items for future agendas?
I wanted to discuss the second and is it Cooley by Dairy Queen there. People's trying to go, they take a right and then they try to go left into Holiday Station there. The other day I was down there and they backed up probably 100 cars, somebody waiting to go
At a
left.
Freedom Station? Or-
Yeah, whatever's on the corner there.
Is Holiday?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's signed, but it's still,
It's not signed, I looked.
oh.
I don't think it's signed, it just says,
You can turn right and turn
it
left
just
there.
says no cutting through. The sign says no cutting through.
No, when you're going up the hill
Mhm.
and there's tons of cars waiting there, they're trying to stop because they can't get through the traffic to get into the gas station there.
Right.
Right.
He
that
wants to consider a no left turn into the gas
Causes
station
a
there.
huge jam up, and I've been sort of stuck in the
So
whole
we'll
thing.
just
Yeah.
put that on the agenda
Yep.
and discuss it next
Oh, yeah,
month.
we can't discuss it.
Anything else for future agenda? At this time? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.